Time once again for Community Forum, and we're very lucky to have with us live in the studios this morning Naomi Wolf. Naomi Wolf is a feminist, a social critic, and author. She is co-founder and president of the Woodhull Institute for Ethical Leadership and co-founder of the American Freedom Campaign. Her essays have appeared in numerous publications, including The New Republic, The Wall Street Journal, Glamour, Ms., Esquire, The Washington Post, and The New York Times. She is the author of numerous books, including the international bestseller The Beauty Myth, Fire with Fire, The New Female Power and How It Will Change the 21st Century, Promiscuities, The Secret Struggle for Womanhood, The End of America, A Letter of Warning to a Young Patriot, and she is here to talk about her new book, Give Me Liberty, A Handbook for American Revolutionaries. Naomi, thank you again for coming on the show.
Mike, thank you so much for giving me a chance.
Start out and tell us, what was the motivation in writing your new book, Give Me Liberty?
Well, thank you. I should correct, by the way, I'm not the president of the Woodhull Institute. Oh. That's okay. Your bio probably has it wrong. The wonderful Margot McGowan in San Francisco is the president. But I wrote Give Me Liberty as a sequel to The End of America because when I was traveling around the country warning people of these 10 steps to fascism, these 10 steps to a closed society that I saw always are put in place when a would-be leader, a would-be dictator wants to crush a democracy or close an open society, many people rightly saw that what I was saying was true. They saw the signs all around them. Everything from step one, hyping an internal and external threat that's terrifying. Step two, creating a secret prison system outside the rule of law, where torture takes place. Step three, creating a paramilitary force not answerable to the people. Step four, a surveillance apparatus, and so on. And they freaked out, understandably, as they should. And they said, what do we do? So I wrote a sequel, which is, what do we do? It's like, first we get terrified and then we get down to work. And that's Give Me Liberty. And I looked at times and places where citizens were faced with the closing of an open society and successfully fought back. Because we're in an emergency, we're in a crisis, and I want to get to that today quickly. The second thing I did is I looked back at the founders, and I don't just mean the well-known white men property holders. I mean the whole founding generation, ordinary people, many of them not named by history, farmers and artisans and washerwomen and enslaved African Americans, all of whom had this vision of liberty and moved it forward and put their lives on the line to make it real. And I wanted to go back to what are the core principles that America is supposed to give us, because we're being manipulated and brainwashed so far away from that with fake democracy, fake patriotism. And the last part of the book is a practical how-to. We need a battle plan. A coup has taken place, and people need to know how to fight back. I mean, the worst thing to happen when there's a coup is confusion. And that's what you see, like in Pakistan. I was in touch with the democracy activists, and they were just like lefties here, or just like the activists here. They were kind of running around and infighting and frantic and bad communications. And, and yet they were able to push back when they finally organized and realized what had happened. So Americans are facing a coup as of this morning, as of October 1st, and confirmed this morning. It's happened. And we have almost no time to push back, and we have to understand that it's an emergency. So in the last third of the book, it's a practical how-to, everything from become your own media, write the op-eds, frame the debate, to start your own political movement, organize as democracy commando units to put pressure on your representatives. But now that the coup is here rather than looming, I'm adding pieces to the battle plan. We've got a movement you can join at myamericaproject.org. You can screen a film to terrify people and alert them to the threat if they don't read books at endofamericamovie.com. But most urgently, the most crucial step is to understand the nature of the threat and to act accordingly. So on Monday, I'm going to be posting ramped up how-tos, more urgent how-tos, among them how to arrest the president because a coup has taken place.
All right, so last we talked, things were getting bad, and we have seen things getting worse since then. Can you kind of summarize the things that you find most disturbing?
I sure can. And I'm very sorry to have to be the messenger for this, but I'm grateful to have your voice and your podium, because the last time we talked about it, it reached nearly 100,000 people. And so people have to listen to this, take it seriously, don't trust me, don't trust you, Mike, back it up, look at the research, and then tell everybody you know, we need action, we need millions of people rising up. First, why should you trust me when I tell you how scared I am? Last fall, you and I talked, Mike, and I said, within 6 months, according to the blueprint, which is always predictive, you're going to start to see terrorists being charged with the definition of terrorism expand so that you're going to see headlines where people who look like ordinary Americans are going to be charged as terrorists. I just met Ian Bicking, the brother of Monica Bicking, a middle-class white guy from the Midwest, clean, well scrubbed, just your average American Joe, terrified because his sister, for protesting, has been named as a terrorist and is facing $250,000 in legal fees and possibly many years in prison. I said last fall that you're going to start seeing mass arrests within 6 months. Those mass arrests occurred. They were sweeps of immigrants. They were terrifying. They were processed behind closed doors, behind blacked out windows. I think that they were practice. I said you're going to start seeing journalists being arrested. Dozens of journalists were arrested at the RNC, including Amy Goodman, Jane Hampshire of Firedog Lake. And we haven't seen a lot of video footage of the RNC because I was chilled to discover that police exposed the film of protesters or ruined the recording apparatuses of protesters. And so we've posted some chilling footage on the website for our organization where you can see the abuse of citizens, but the person who got us that footage had to bury it until after he was released from his arrest so he could retrieve it. This is what happens in the Soviet Union. This is what happens in a closed society. And then I said you're going to start to see it, it being made easier for the president to declare martial law, to declare a state of emergency. And I said, and I've been saying for months, leading up to the election, you're going to start to see instability, hyped threats, hyped emergencies, hyped crises in order to create an atmosphere of urgency to justify a crackdown. And I'm sorry to tell you, every single one of those things has come true. And so I'm very sorry to tell you, but I feel like I don't know, I feel like this is my one chance to alert America. This morning, I was told about this last night, and I couldn't believe it, the way you can't believe these things in America, but then check it out. Go to C-SPAN, go to YouTube, type in Representative Brad Sherman and martial law. There is a clip on C-SPAN which explains a lot, if it's true, but he's a Democratic representative from the 27th District, Sherman Oaks, Northridge, California. I have no reason to believe he's insane. And he is saying in private conversation, he's saying that the administration has hyped an atmosphere of crisis around the bailout. And I believe it, because looking at the language Bush is using, it's not to stabilize markets. It's, this is an emergency. Be afraid. It's coming to you. It's going to get worse and worse. This is not FDR language. This is the way you whip up agitated markets. It's not the way you calm them. And, Sarah Palin, 20 times, we're in crisis mode. We're in crisis mode. We're in crisis mode. And he said, Representative Sherman said, that in private conversations, and he didn't name a subject, which makes sense. It was very brave of him to do this. He said in private conversations, members have been told that if they didn't pass the bailout bill, the market was going to go down 1,000 points every day, and by Monday, he said, they would be facing martial law. They were threatened with martial law. He said several members in private conversations were threatened with martial law if they didn't do as he said. Now, why should we take this seriously? This is my other terrible piece of news, but we have to wake up. We have to wake up. On October 1st, the 1st Brigade of the 3rd Infantry Division was deployed in the United States of America for the first time since 1807, when a bright line was placed preventing military from policing American streets. A military brigade that's 3,000 to 4,000 soldiers has been brought in to police our streets. Army Times reported it. Don't take my word for it. Now, why is this terrifying? Well, three things. What is the definition of a police state? A police state is when the leader has his own army on the street and his own treasury. Bear with me. The bailout bill had fine print that gave the president alone $100 billion in discretionary spending with no oversight. Who knows what the final bill looks like? We haven't seen the fine print, but I'm willing to bet you that there's an intervention by the president that gives him more power than he had before in the national economy. You see this always.